Hey, what's up guys, how's it going? Welcome to Build Your Own Blog series again. In the previous video, we have learned how to generate static blog pages. In today's video, we're gonna style our blog page with Chakra-UI. We're gonna add custom components. We're gonna add embedded components like YouTube videos, GitHub gist, CodePens, tweets, and so many other things. So before we get started, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, so this is where we had previously left off. We have generated the static blog page, but it doesn't look good because they are using the normal HTML tags without any styles. So if I inspect this one, you can see it is just a simple p tag without any styles. So we need to tell MDX what component to use for what type of tags and also what type of components. And we're going to tell MDX to use text component for any kind of p tag. So in order to do that, we need to pass our components object to the MDX remote component as prop. So I'm just going to create a new file in the components directory. I will create a directory MDX, and inside the directory I'm going to create a file. I will call it MDX components.js. And here I'm going to create a components object, and I will export it as default. And here I'm going to import that components. So import MDX components from components slash MDX slash MDX components. And I will pass the components prop, and it will be MDX components. Now inside the components we need to pass key value pairs. We all know that to use any specific component for a specific tag, we need to use the tag name as our key, and the value will be the component. For example, if you want to use a specific component for the p tag, the key has to be p, and the value will be whatever the component that you want to use. So I'm going to use Chakra-UI text component. So I will import that text from Chakra-UI React, and I will just pass text. And now you can see that this paragraph is not just a p tag, it is actually the Chakra-UI text component because it has this Chakra text class. But if you want to pass any props to this text component, you can still do that. You have to return the text component from another component. So I'm going to create another component. And this component will take props. And we need to spread out the props because the props is containing the children. And the text component needs to know that. And now you can pass any kind of prop that you can pass in text component. For example, color. I will pass red. And now you can see all the paragraphs are now red. Okay, so that's how you can customize any tags with components. So I'm just gonna delete this. This was just for demonstration. Now I'm going to create a bunch of other files where I will style other tags like header tags, text, links, and so on. If I do this in this one single file, that will be messy. So I don't want to do that. I want to do them in separate files. Then I will import them here. So I will create another file. I will call it texts.js. And here again, I'm going to create another components object. Actually, I will copy everything from here and I will paste it here. Now I need the text component and also the heading component. So first I'm going to style all of the header tags. So I'm going to create an array of header tag names. So const headings. And I'm just going to paste the array of tag names. And now I will loop over the headings array. So tag will be the first parameter. Now I want to make the headings responsive. For that I need to create a font size object. So const font size, and it will have a base property which will be a string, and also an MD property which is a string. Now base and MD are just breakpoint names. Whatever value that you are going to put here will be used for that breakpoint. And if you want to learn more about responsive styles of Chakra-UI, please watch the Chakra-UI crash course video that I made on my channel. The link will be on the description. Now there are different type of font size available on Chakra-UI theme, like XL, 2XL, 3XL, 4XL, 5XL. The higher the number goes for the XL, the bigger the font size is. But in our headings, the higher the number is, the smaller the font size should be. For example, XL is big, 2XL is bigger than before. But in headings, H1 is big, H2 is smaller than before. So we need to combine them in reverse order. So H1 value should be 6XL, H2 value should be 5XL, and it will keep going on. In order to do that, I need to get the length of the headings array. So let length headings dot length. Now the base font size will be 1XL lower than MD. For example, if MD font size is 5XL, then base breakpoint will be 4XL. The base value will be actually a string, but template string. It should be length -1. If that gives me 0, then I don't want to pass 0XL. I want to pass only XL. So if that gives me false value, I want to put a empty string, then XL. And for MD, again, it will be a template string, and I'm just gonna pass length XL. Then I'm gonna decrease the length by 1, so length minus. But before that, I want to add a property with the current tag name. So components tag, and the value will be a component which will take a props, and I'm gonna return a heading component. I'm gonna use the as prop, and value will be tag. Then font size will be the font size object. Then I'm gonna pass some margin to the top. Its value will be 12. MB will be 6. And finally, I'm gonna spread out all of the props. That is 100% required. And now let's go to MDX components file. Oh, I don't need this import. I'm gonna import the text object from text, and I'm gonna spread out the text object. And now the header should be styled, and you can see we have this header. Previously it wasn't looking like an header, it was looking like a simple text, but it is now looking like a header, and also it is using the h3 tag. So we have successfully customized the header tags. Now let's style the paragraphs. I'm gonna create a component, and also I will export that because I will need that again. So const blog text, again props. It will return the text component. I'm gonna add the font size prop. Now for responsive values, you can pass not only objects, you can also pass array, and the array value will be MD, then LG, and then XL. These values maintain the order of the breakpoints. Chakra-UI sorts the breakpoints in ascending order, and these values will be applied to those breakpoints in sorted order. Then I'm gonna add some margin. MT will be 8, and also MB will be 8, margin top and margin bottom. Then I'm gonna add line height. Value will be taller. Again, it is not a valid CSS value, it is a theme value. Then later spacing will be wide. And finally, I'm gonna spread out the props. And now we need to add this block text component to the p tags. So components.p will be block text. And you can see our paragraphs are now styled. Now that we have customized the paragraphs, now let's customize the links. Now in this block, I don't see any kind of anchor tags or links, but there is. This is actually a link, but it is not styled. That's why it doesn't look like a link. So we're gonna style that. To do that, we're going to open up the Chakra link component. So from here, I'm gonna export another component. So const Chakra text link, which will be props, and I'm gonna return the Chakra link. Now the Chakra component for the link will be the text component, and I'm gonna spread out all the props. And let's export this component, Chakra text link, and let's go to text.jsx file and let's import that. Import Chakra text link from components/Chakra link. And now let's add the a property in the components.a. And I'm gonna attach a component, and the component will be Chakra text link. I'm gonna spread out the props, and I'm gonna add a display property, which will be inline. And now if I hover over it, it has some styles, but without hovering, it doesn't actually look like a link. So we're gonna add a teal color to it, but we're not gonna add here. So let's go to Chakra link file, and in the main Chakra next link component, I'm gonna destructure the color prop, and this color prop belongs to the link component, not the Chakra component. So color will be color. And let's go to the bottom. Here I'm gonna add the color prop, color. Now it will be a template string. I'm gonna use a teal color, but the color shade will depend on the color mode that we are using. So that's why I have imported the use color mode hook. So I'm gonna call that use color mode. And let's destructure the return object. Toggle, not toggle, color mode. The color will be teal, but the shade will depend on the color mode. So if color mode is equals to light, then the shade number will be 500, else the shade number will be 300. Oops, not 300, it will be 200. So let's save it. The link color is now teal, and if I hover over it, and the underline color is also teal. And if I go to light mode, it is now a different shade of teal. Okay, I mean, it doesn't have to be teal. You can choose whatever color you want, like blue, red, whatever. Alright, so now that we have customized text-based tags like headers, links, paragraphs, now let's learn how to use custom components in our MDX file. The process is actually simple. So I will open up another blog file. I'll go to the blogs directory, and I will open up the Hulu clone blog. So I have written a blog and created a video about Hulu landing page clone with HTML CSS. You can check that out if you want. But in that blog, I have used custom components just like you do in JSX. I have used the YouTube component. I have passed the YouTube ID prop. This is just the video ID of a video. Also, if I go to the bottom, I have used a tweet component. I have passed the tweet link prop, and the value is the link to the tweet. Now to use these components, you have to do the same thing that you did with normal tags. You have to create another property. For example, if you want to customize the YouTube component, you have to create another property, components dot YouTube, and then you have to pass a component. You can create your own component with iframes and things like that, but I found a great package which will handle everything for you. The package name is MDX-EMBEDD. This is the documentation website. I will put the link on the description. It says that MDX-EMBEDD allows you to easily embed popular third-party media content such like YouTube videos, tweets, Instagram posts, Spotify, TikTok, and many other components. On the left hand side, you can see there are tons of components available, and it is pretty simple to use. For example, if you want to use the YouTube component, just go to YouTube, and for the YouTube component you can pass these props, and the usage is pretty simple. For example, if you want to embed this video, you have to pass this code. You just call the component and you just pass the props just like you do in JSX, and that's it. And I've also done the same thing on my blog. You can see that I have just used the YouTube component. The name has to be exactly same, and the YouTube ID prop. So let's install the package. I will kill the server, and let's install the package. Yarn add MDX-EMBED. Alright, the package is installed, but MDX doesn't have any clue about these components, so we need to specify them again. So I'm gonna create another file on the MDX directory. I will call it embeds.jsx. I'm gonna import some component from MDX-EMBED. I'm gonna import YouTube gist for GitHub gist, CodePen, and Code Sandbox. So again, I'm gonna create a components object, const components, and inside the components object I'm gonna pass these components. I'll copy them from here and I'll paste them here, and I'll export it, default components. So let's go to MDX components file. I will delete this line and I'll import embeds from embeds, and I'll spread out embeds. Now I will go to the home page. Oops, I haven't restarted the server. So yarn dev, and now let's go to the Hulu clone blog, and we have an error. Most probably you will also get this error. The error is coming actually from MDX-EMBED package. It has some version conflict with other packages like React and original MDX. So I'm going to kill the server and I will install MDX-EMBED again. So yarn add MDX-EMBED. Alright, so as you can see that MDX-EMBED has some unmet peer dependency with MDX.js and also incorrect peer dependency with React and React DOM. So we need to install these packages with the specific versions. So yarn add, I will copy these package names with their version, MDX.js React, then React, and finally React DOM. So let's install them. Alright, so the packages are installed. So let's run the dev server again with yarn dev. And let's just refresh this page. Alright, so we still have errors. This error is a different error. Expected component tweet to be defined. You likely forgot to import. this error is occurring because there is a tweet component in our blog, but we haven't really added the tweet component in our embeds object. So I'm gonna import tweet, and I will add the tweet here. Now it should work. I will refresh the page again, and I will just close the DevTools, and you can see that there isn't any error. And if I scroll down, you can see we have the YouTube video. I can also play the video here. Okay, so the video is working. And if I scroll down, you can see we have these code blocks, but we have to style them. And also we can see that we have these images. And if I go to the bottom of the page, you can see we also have a tweet. Okay, so our embedded components are working, but we need to do another thing. You can notice that this embed components doesn't have any spacing on top and bottom. That can be annoying. So we're gonna create our wrapper component that will wrap up all of these components. So I will create another file in the MDX directory. I will call it wrapper.jsx. And here, let's create a component. And I will need the box component. So I will import that. And I will get the children from props. I will delete this line, and I will insert a box component. I will insert the children. I will add some spacing on top and bottom, so my for horizontal margin, and the value will be 8. So I'll go to the embeds component file. I will rename this components object to embed components, and I'll create another components object. And now I will loop over these components, and on each loop I will create a new component and wrap the original component by the wrapper component. So I will import the wrapper component, import wrapper. So let's get the keys object dot keys embed components, and I will loop over using the for each method. I'll create an anonymous function. Key will be the first parameter, and on each loop I will create a new key in the components object. So components, then key, and the value will be a component. And let's add the wrapper, and we need to get the components. So const component embedded components key, and I will just insert the component, and obviously I have to get the props, and I'll spread out the props. Oops, at the end we have to add a closing parentheses. Now it will work. And you can see that on top and bottom we have some padding on our tweet component. Now for the tweet component, you can customize more. You can add a dark theme to this component, and if I increase the browser screen size, you can see it is aligned on the left side, but we want it aligned on the middle. So I'm gonna create a custom tweet component, const custom tweet, and I will get the props here, and I will call the tweet component. I'll spread out the props, then I will pass the theme, and it will be dark, and align will be center. And in the embed components object, tweet will be equals to custom tweet. And you can see that our tweet component has dark theme, and also it is at the center. So that's it for the embed components. You can add much more components to your block files, but I'm not gonna bother about them. And now we're going to style the code block. Now to style the code blocks, we're going to use a package called Prism React Renderer. So this is the GitHub page of that package. And if I scroll down, it's pretty simple to do. Just install the package, then just add this piece of code in your file and you'll be good to go. Now you don't have to understand what is happening behind the scene. You can just copy paste it from here, or you can copy paste the block from my repository. I changed the code a bit. I customized the components with Chakra-UI. I've also added a copy button. So let's install the package. I'm just gonna copy this command and let's kill the server and let's install it. Alright, so the package is installed. So let's run the server again. And now we need to create another file. I will call it codeblock.jsx. I'll just paste the code here. Okay, so this is the code that we need, and I will create another file on the MDX directory. I will call it codes.jsx. And here again I'm going to create a components object. But before that, I'm gonna import the wrapper component, and also I will import the code block component. Now to style the code block, we need to target the pre tag. So pre will be equals to code block, and let's just export it as default component. And now let's export default components, and let's go to MDX components file and let's import codes from /codes, and I will spread out the codes. It isn't changing. Let's just refresh the page. And let's scroll down. As you can see that we have beautiful code blocks with syntax highlighting. Okay, so it is looking really good. And also we have this copy button. If I click on it, it says copied. And if I just go to my text editor and try to paste the text, you can see that copy pasting is also working. And now let's style the inline codes. So I will go to again the codes file. And now we need to select the code tag. So components.code. So let's get the props. And we need to import the code component from Chakra-UI. So import code from Chakra-UI React. And let's add the code. Add a font size prop. It will be an array. MD. Then LG, then XL, and now let's add some margin, 0 for top and bottom and 0.5 rem for left and right. And finally let's just spread out the props. Oops. And you can see that our inline codes are also styled. Now before I close this file, I forgot to wrap this code block component by the wrapper component. So actually I will delete this. So let's target the pre tag components dot pre. Again I will get the props and I will add the wrapper, and finally I will add the code block. And I'll spread out the props. Okay, so we are done with styling the code blocks, and now we need to style the lists. So I'm gonna create another file. I will call it lists.jsx. This time I need to import some components. Actually, I will copy this import line, and instead of code, I'm gonna import list item, ordered list, unordered list, and I will also import the block text component from the text file. From text. So let's create the components object, select the UL, and pass the unordered list tag, then OL for ordered list, and finally let's select the LIs, and it will be a custom component. So let's get the props, add the block text component, and just pass the as prop will be list item, and let's spread out the props. And finally, let's just export the components, and let's go to MDX file, and let's import lists from lists, and I will spread out the lists. Okay, so our lists are now looking much better than before. And finally, let's just style the images. There will be two types of image. One type of image will come from third-party sources, another image will come from local source. So I will create another file. I'll call it images.jsx. Again, create a components object, and again export default components, and I need to import some component. I will import the image component from next image, and I will import the wrapper component. I'll copy this line and I'll paste it here. Let's first select the normal image tag. So components dot image will be custom components. I will get the wrapper, and here I'm gonna add the image tag. I don't need these attributes. I'm gonna spread out the props. It will handle the normal images that will come from third-party sources, and now there can be another type of image which I will call next image. I will copy this line, and instead of image tag, I'm gonna target a custom component next image, and instead of image tag, I will add image component. The ESLint is giving me an error of the React display name, so actually I will store it in a variable const next image, and I will cut this line from here and put it on the top, and I will just pass the next image. And let's open up the MDX component files, and let's import images from images, and I will spread out the images, and now the images has some spacing on top and bottom. Alright, so our blog is looking good. It is now completely styled. So we have successfully completed our task. We have styled our normal HTML tags, we have styled custom components, we have added embedded components from MDX-EMBED package, and also we have styled them. In the next video, we're gonna build the real-time view counter for our blog. So if the video has been helpful for you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.